Aladdin, One Wish Left. At the start of Disney's animated classic Aladdin, and I suppose the dire live-action remake, down on his luck, Pauper Aladdin discovers the magic lamp and uses his first wish to ask the genie, Robin Williams/Will Smith, to make him a prince. This happens, of course, and he is transformed into Prince Ali Ababwa, intending to court Princess Jasmine. As the plan goes awry, he has to use up his second wish to save his own life. After using the third and final wish to free the genie, all ends up happily after all. The Sultan allows Aladdin and Jasmine to marry anyway, turning him into a prince. Given that the genie has the ability to see centuries into the future, it's entirely possible that everything that happens after wish number 1 was simply a circuitous means of transforming Aladdin into a prince, which would also mean that he still has one wish remaining at the end of the story. So, till he becomes a prince, everything that was done by Genie comes under one big wish. Everyone is swearing, except Peter Quill. This theory explains why all the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy cuss and swear like they're in a film for kids. In the movie, many of the alien characters are not in fact speaking English, but are having their language translated for Peter Quill, Chris Pratt, and the audience via Quill's Universal Translator. Quill, however, was abducted from Earth when he was still a small child, meaning the kind of swear words that these rough and ready rogues are using simply wouldn't be in his vocabulary. Phineas is an oddball. Phineas and Ferb is a Disney cartoon series, but they have made a few movies, and I really want to share this out. This is his family. His biological sister Candace looks like her mum, with a normal human head and thin, long necks. Ferb looks like his biological father with a big nose and his head linked with his neck. So why doesn't Phineas look like his mum? That's because this is Dr. Doofenshmirtz. This is Phineas. Both have triangular heads. Bull slushes. No wonder both of them are genius inventors. James Bond is a code name. The line of thinking goes that Kincaid, the shotgun-toting Scottish recluse played by Albert Finney in 2012 Skyfall, was in fact a part written for Sean Connery, making the character in fact an older incarnation of Connery's James Bond. The speculation was partly confirmed by director Sam Mendes, who admitted that producers had a definite discussion about Connery playing the role. But what does this all mean? Skyfall more or less ties both Craig and Connery's Bond films into the same universe, and, arguably, all the other Bond films by extension. Taken as canon, this would confirm the theory that James Bond is nothing more than a codename, that there have been a line of different Bonds taking the role after each other. Beau is Afraid. Ari Aster's recent surrealist comedy Beau is Afraid is a treasure trove of symbolism and Easter eggs. It is pure, unfettered theory fodder. One of the darkest theories, however, concerns an unnamed character who is glimpsed in the background of several scenes during a flashback to a cruise Beau went on as a child. The sinister figure is easy to miss, appearing on the edge of the frame eating an ice cream, or simply lurking. Given Beau is Afraid's broader fixation with sexual dysfunction and trauma, people have suggested that the figure was in fact a child sexual predator, and that the film is subtly hinting that Beau was abused while on the cruise. Aster himself has hinted at this in interviews. Pulp Fiction. In the movie, Vincent Vega had conversation with Mia Wallace about a failed pilot episode Mia was in. It was a pilot movie for 5 women.
There was a blonde one, Somerset O'Neill. She was a leader. The Japanese fox was a kung fu master. The black girl was a demolition expert. French fox's specialty was sex.
What was your specialty?
Knives. Character I played, Raven McCoy, her background was she grew up raised by circus performers. According to the show, she was the deadliest woman in the world with a knife.
The conversation went like this. The pilot Mia was talking about referred to Kill Bill. She was talking about the members of Deadly Viper's assassination squad. Pulp Fiction was released in 1994, and Kill Bill Volume 1 was released in 2003. We could say that Kill Bill was a 10 years work in progress for Quentin Tarantino. Dumbledore's death was foreshadowed in the 3rd movie. Hopefully we all know that Dumbledore was killed in the 6th movie. But there are hints in the 3rd book that could be possible foreshadowing of his death later on. Remember that Christmas party? Sybil Trelawney decides to join the party. Before she sits down, she is frightened because there are already 12 people sitting at the table and claims 13 people sitting at the same table will bring misery. She does not sit down and warns that the first of those 13 people to stand up would die. In order to calm her, Dumbledore stood up and left the table. But we later get to know that Ron's rat was actually Peter Pettigrew in disguise. Knowing that Ron carried his rat in his pocket most of the time, That'd mean there were already 13 people at the table. When Dumbledore left as the first of those 13 people, his fate was sealed. Stan Lee is the Watcher. Before his death in 2018, legendary comic book artist Stan Lee appeared in a multitude of small cameos and adaptations of his work, including every film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These appearances were seemingly unconnected, with Lee playing everyone from a bus driver to an alien servant to himself. However, after a while, fans began theorizing that Lee was in fact playing one character the whole time, an intergalactic observer known in the Marvel comics as the Watcher. Writers soon cottoned onto the theory. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Lee's character, now an astronaut, is seen speaking to two Watchers, making reference to his past exploits. The Dark Knight's Joker is a war veteran suffering from PTSD. Here's a few points to support this theory. He has a set of skills that can be easily connected with a military background. From hand-to-hand combat to knowledge of weapons such as grenades and rocket launchers, not to mention his use of explosives. He is also an expert tactician, able to come up with a plan far more complex than those of normal criminals. His experience as a soldier not only left him physically scarred, thus meaning he lied about his scars, but also mentally unstable. After facing the horrors of war, he returned wanting revenge against a society that he despised. Listen to this quote from Joker himself. This is a perfect and elegant explanation to a complex character that ties almost every aspect of the Joker in, while still making perfect sense.
You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that, like, a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds.
There is no Blair Witch. The seminal indie horror is built almost entirely around the implication of danger, with the title Blair Witch never actually appearing in the film. Because of this, some fans have theorized that the creature does not in fact exist. Aspiring documentarians Mike and Josh had lured Heather out to the woods, staged some of the spooky occurrences, and then murdered her. There are some logical reasons why this was almost certainly not the canonical explanation, but it nonetheless adds a chilling new dimension to the film. The Rock is a secret Bond sequel. Michael Bay's The Rock, an escape from prison thriller, sees Sean Connery play a disavowed ex-spy who had been sentenced to years in a high-security prison. According to this theory, Connery's character, referred to as John Mason, is in fact an older version of James Bond. The timeline adds up, and it's stated in the film that John Mason isn't his real name. The theory is certainly compelling, but maybe not intentional. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer denied that the thought had entered the writers' minds. The Terminator and Matrix universes are connected. The theory suggests the Terminator and the Matrix are the same universe at different points in time. Terminator shows Skynet's rise and humanity's war against machines, while the Matrix depicts the aftermath, where machines have fully won and enslaved humans in a simulated reality. In this view, John Connor is the first Neo, and Terminators are early versions of Matrix agents. Sarah Connor is actually Neo's mother, so JC John Connor is Jesus Christ, and he grows up to be Neo. They're one and the same. The Matrix is in the future. The Terminator is the past. It's the second coming of the Christ, the evolution of consciousness, man versus the machine. The Terminator machines hear that a child is going to be born that's going to terminate them in the future when they oppress man. So the Terminator has to time travel to the past because they know it's Sarah Connor, and they have to terminate her so she won't have the baby. Kyle Reese, he comes from the future to protect her, and he inadvertently gets her pregnant. He has to go back to the future, and that's the Immaculate Conception, because now she's pregnant and she fell in love with a man, but did it really happen? Did he exist? And then this child, when you see the three Terminators, the boy and then the man, subconsciously, he doesn't know why the Terminator is trying to kill him until he's hidden out in the city in the Matrix, the future. When he reaches 30 years of age, the Rebellion Reloaded revolution starts, and the rebels come, they find him because they've been watching him all along. That's what the Guardians and the Sentinels are all about. They wake him up to his purpose. They take him to Morpheus to train him to fight the machines. They take him to the Oracle because of the prophecy.